días, to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today we're making another quick and easy and delicious weeknight meal that's going to be ready in under an hour. We're making beef Youvetsi, which is basically a beef stew that's going to have Orzo Pasta cooked into it at the end. It's made with chicken, beef, or lamb. You could use any of the three. I'm using beef today because that's what I have. It's fresh beef that's from my brother-in-law's farm. So delicious. Now, back to what I was saying. This meal usually takes, if you're making with beef or lamb, about 2 hours or 2.5 hours to make. But because I'm using my Instant Pot, me and this thing had a little bit of an adventure. I got it in November because I wanted to make lots of videos with it, and I'm just not a person who likes to read instructions and things like that, so it took a while for me to learn how to use it. But now that I've got some things down, I'm going to share this recipe with you because it is delicious and it's just a shortcut, and you might just make it like this all the time from now on. Let's get started. So I have one large onion that I finely chopped, and that's going to go in the pressure cooker. So one thing that you should keep in mind that I learned the hard way, when you're sauteing in this machine, don't put the lid on, because when you put the lid on, it seals it, and I guess the temperature is higher than usual, and your onions are going to burn and you're going to have to start all over. So anyway, I put the onions in there. I'm also going to add 3 to 4 tablespoons of olive oil and a little pinch of salt. We're going to put it all in one even layer. And then just press the saute button. You might have to press it twice. Once the onions are soft and golden, that might take up to 10 minutes. Then we're going to move on to the next step. Now, usually when you're making Youvetsi, you brown the meat first, but that is an extra step that I don't want to take when I'm making a quick and easy weeknight dinner. It's going to take an extra like 20 minutes that I don't have. I want this done in an hour. If you really want that nice brown crunchiness and like that color on the meat, either go ahead and brown the meat first and then cook the onions and using the saute feature, or you can layer the meat in a baking pan and just broil it. I would definitely drizzle some olive oil on it and a little bit of salt and broil it on both sides until it's nice and brown. That's going to get you that nice color and those crispy bits that have so much flavor. But I made this so many times like this, and it still has lots of flavor. It's still very delicious. So it's up to you. I'll leave it up to you. Your kitchen, your rules. Okay, so I had to hit the saute button 2 times so that way the onions can get nice and soft. And you can put the lid on, just don't lock it, because if you lock it, I don't know what happens, it pressure cooks or something, and the onions burn each and every time. Now I have a teaspoon of grated garlic. I like to keep my garlic grated in the freezer. I buy the big container of whole garlic cloves, and then I just process it in the food processor until it's very finely chopped, and then I just put it in a flat layer and freeze it, and then break pieces off as I need. But if you don't have that all ready to go, you can just grate 4 or 5 garlic cloves, the more the better in my book, and just put them in there. And since they're so finely chopped, they just warm through for a few seconds. At this point, I'm going to put the beef in. Now, I don't know what cut of beef this is. We get the whole animal, and then we have it cut into chunks, and some portions my brother-in-law will cut into pieces that are good for roasting. So you can use anything with the bone in. Again, you could use lamb, goat, or beef. If you're using chicken, the cooking time is going to be much less. So stick to the goat and the beef for now until I do another chicken recipe, and I recipe test that. So the meat is in there. I have a can of tomatoes. These are diced tomatoes. You can puree them if you want. And it's a 15-ounce can if you want to know. I have 2 bay leaves. I'll put a teaspoon of salt for now, and then I'll taste it once it's done to see if it needs more. Some freshly cracked black pepper, lots and lots. Now the Instant Pot is basically a pressure cooker that also has other functions. So if you don't have the brand Instant Pot, you could do this the same thing in a pressure cooker. I'm going to put a teaspoon of paprika. This is sweet paprika, not the smoky kind. The smoky kind is not what you're going for in this recipe. And I'll also put a nice hefty pinch, a little more, of crushed red pepper flakes because we like it a little spicy. And then I'm going to rinse the can out with some water so that way everything cooks evenly and it doesn't burn. Of course, mix it up. And if you like cinnamon in your food, cinnamon is very traditional in Greek stews. You could throw a cinnamon stick in there, or you could put like 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. My kids will not eat savory stews, savory dishes with cinnamon in it, so I'm not putting that in. Now all that's left is you just have to put the lid on the machine, lock it, and set it to pressure cook at 25 minutes, and the stew is going to be ready. Then we're gonna move on to the next step, which is adding the orzo. I'm just gonna clean up while the meat is cooking, and when it's ready, I'll show you what it looks like. So once the 25 minutes are up, you're gonna wanna release the pressure very carefully. I like to put a kitchen towel on top of where the vent is, so that way steam doesn't splatter everywhere, and then I release it and the steam is gonna release and you're gonna be able to open it. And then look at how soft the meat is. It's perfectly cooked. The stew has thickened a little bit. Now I have a big baking pan here. I don't like to cook it in the pressure cooker with the orzo. I prefer to finish it off in the oven. If you wanna do it in the pressure cooker, I'll tell you how to do it right after I'm done with this step. But I'm gonna go ahead and transfer everything in here. Before I add the orzo, I'm gonna go ahead and taste the sauce to see if the seasoning is good. And it's actually perfect. The only thing it needs is some dried oregano. I like to put it in at this point so you don't get that bitterness from it when it cooks for too long. About a teaspoon is all you need. Here I have some uncooked orzo pasta. This is about a pound. I'm gonna put that in there. And because pasta really likes to absorb all of the liquid that it's cooked in, I'm gonna add some more liquid because I like it for it to be saucy. So I'm gonna make sure that it's covered. There should be about 6 cups of liquid in here. So there's gonna be about 4 left over from cooking it in the Instant Pot, with the stew. And then you could just add a little bit more. And since we put that pasta in, I am going to add a little bit of salt in here, about a teaspoon. So my oven is preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. I actually raised it a little bit higher to 425 so it can get the mixture boiling much faster. I put it in the oven on the center rack, reduced it to 400, and I'm gonna let it cook uncovered for about 20 minutes. That's really all it needs, and then the orzo should be fully cooked. If it's not, take a look at it and you can cook it a little bit longer. If you wanna add more water to it, go ahead because it's gonna make a really nice sauce. Once it comes out of the oven, you're gonna see that there is gonna be some liquid in there. And as it sits, after about 15 minutes or so, the pasta is gonna soak it up and it's gonna dry up and you're gonna barely see any sauce in there. If you wanna finish it off in the Instant Pot, instead of doing it in the oven, then you can put the orzo in there and add an extra 1 or 2 cups of water with the salt, and then just let it saute uncovered for about 15 minutes or until the orzo is cooked. I do prefer it in the oven. I like baking it in not such a deep pan or pot or anything like that, because then the orzo on the bottom tends to get kind of mushy. I just prefer it in the oven, but you can definitely finish it off in your Instant Pot. I'll show you what it looks like as soon as it comes out. The Youvetsi was ready in exactly 20 minutes. The rice, I was gonna say, it looks like rice. The orzo pasta is al dente, just the way I like it. Now, if you want more sauce, you can have a pot of chicken stock or beef broth or even just water. You can put a little bit of salt in it, boiling, and once it comes out, you can pour some of that water on there and it will create more of a sauce. We like it in the middle, kind of saucy and a little bit not so saucy. I don't want to say dry. Anyway, the best way to serve this, sprinkle some freshly cut parsley on top, put it in a plate and crumble some feta cheese on top. You can put Parmesan on top, kefalograviera, which is a Greek cheese, sheep's milk cheese, which is so good, very hard to find here in Houston. It is time to take a bite. This is such comfort food for me. The meat is just falling apart. It's nice and soft. The orzo is al dente, just the way I like it. So much flavor in that sauce. That feta kind of melts in there and becomes creamy, tangy, and delicious. I hope you guys love this. All the exact measurements are on the website, dimitrasdishes.com. Make it, let me know what you think. And let me just say something about the Instant Pot. I'm not a big fan of kitchen gadgets, especially ginormous ones like that one. I was super intimidated. First of all, I was very excited when I ordered it because I never owned a pressure cooker. I was kind of scared of them my whole life. I've heard horror stories. I'm sure you have too. But you guys convinced me to get one, so I did get one back in November, and I really was planning on doing like a series of all of my most popular recipes that are kind of time consuming to make and make versions of them using the Instant Pot. And it came in and it was really overwhelming for me to figure it out. I didn't want to read the, the directions, because I'm not about that. I never read directions, but I ended up figuring it out, and it is really worth having because a meal like this would normally take 2 to 3 hours. It was ready in under 1. You can't beat that. If you want the link to the same one that I have, I'll post it down below and on the blog post. Thank you guys so much for spending time with me today. I'll see you all next time. Yes, us. Oh, and if you want me to make more Instant Pot Greek recipes, post down below in the comment section and I'll get to it. Bye, guys.